There we go. Good evening and welcome to another edition. If you're just joining us, my name is Ethan. This is Community Conversations. Please say hello. Let us know you are here. Yeah, I always never know what to say in the first 30 seconds because I know people are getting alerts, notifications, and nobody's really actually here when we hit live. So that's what live looks like. So if you're just joining us, please say hello. Let us know where you're from. Um, yeah, thank you, Fran. Appreciate you as always. Hey, Kelly. Look, your name is built in. Kelly from Arizona. We all know. Hey, Liz. I hear your son is amazing. So thank you for being here, Liz. If you're just joining us, welcome, welcome. It is Tuesday evening, 7:03 p.m. on the East Coast. We've got about another 45, 50 seconds until we get started. In the meantime, please let us know you're here. Say hello, where you're from. Um, Favorite salad dressing tonight. Favorite salad dressing. Please feel free to weigh in. Hey, Carol. Good to see you. Greetings from New York. I don't know why I haven't thought of salad dressing before. I feel like that's a solid, yeah, I feel like that's a solid thing. So, hi, Grace. Good to see you. So, if you're just joining us, say hello and how you're doing and where you're from and favorite salad dressing. And I apologize if the energy is slightly low. I'm sure it'll pick up as we go, but gotta be honest, I'm a little tired today. It's been a long week and it's Tuesday. Uh, it's just after 2 minutes. Heather, Ken's Italian is delicious. I have to agree with you. I can't. Nothing will replace ranch in my book. And Kim, at first I thought you said Louisiana ranch was like a type of ranch, and I was like, I want to know what that is. Is it Cajun spices? Because you had me, but ranch agreed. Hey, Mike, good to see you. Balsamic vinaigrette, also a solid choice. But yeah, Ken's Italian's delicious. If you're just joining us, please, ranch. Ranch is not a question mark, Carrie. It is ranch exclamation mark. Hey, Nikki in Dublin. Now we're coming alive. So if you're just joining us, thank you for being here. Hey, Beth Carducci. Quickly say hello. Let us know where you're from, and most importantly, what is your favorite salad dressing? Right, Louisiana ranch sounds amazing. I was like, oh my god, it's like crawfish and jambalaya ranch. Like I would buy jambalaya ranch. That sounds amazing. Favorite salad dressing? Where you're from? Let's get through some housekeeping and let's jump right into it. Let's have a good time tonight. Relax, take it easy. Let our hair down. There we go. Welcome to Community Conversations. My name is Ethan Smith. I'm the National Advocate of the International OCD Foundation, which simply means, as you all know, I have OCD, and we're still talking about it. We're going to still talk about it for a while. This community conversation is intended to serve as educational content and is not intended to replace therapy. For treatment-related questions, please be sure to work with your local provider or contact the local clinician. The International OCD Foundation is not a crisis hotline and should not be used if you're in distress or feeling unsafe. If you're in crisis or ever feeling suicidal or unsafe, please go to your local emergency room. Call 911 or call the suicide prevention hotline at 800-273-8255. As always, we want to be kind and respectful of others, create as safe a space as possible. This is live. This is being recorded on all of the social webs, interstreams, webs, media. So always want to keep that in mind as we're being honest and vulnerable and candid. But with that being said, as always, be respectful, be kind. We are here to support one another. With that, hi, Katie O'Dunn in the treadmill, on the treadmill in the basement. We don't have a basement. It's technically the first floor, but we won't get into semantics. Caesar dressing is also good. I haven't seen a dressing I've disliked yet. If you're just joining us, please say hello, where you're from, and favorite salad dressing. Hey, Deirdre, it's good to see you. So tonight, as always, there are plenty of things I could talk about, but I'd like to toss it out to you all first, as this is a conversation between the two of us. Okay, Deirdre, you said it. I have to interrupt myself. I can't do blue cheese. I'm sorry, Deirdre. We've had a love affair for a long time now, but I can't join you on your blue cheese journey. I don't get it. I don't get the appeal of blue cheese. I'll be honest. It's nasty. It's awful. I don't get blue cheese. So, I mean, maybe that's the first question. Anybody else here like blue cheese? Anyway, but I still real chunks of mold, Ethan. Exactly. Maybe it's part of my my OCD around food and blue cheese with wings and celery and carrots. I defer to ranch on the wings. I don't know, dear. Oh, Heather, you got some support on Ken's Italian. From Sam. Sam, we have a Ken's Italian fan up top, and Heather. So, blue cheese is amazing. Yes, who are you people? All right, let's not continue before I want to stop this. I dislike ranch, Deirdre. We have to reassess our relationship. Trader Joe's Greek goddess dressing is also a good one. I haven't had that one. Anyway, I hope everyone is doing wonderful tonight. I love this conversation. You know, as much as this is about information about OCD and answering questions and just discussing whatever's on your mind, you know what? We need to have a good time and relax because life is hard with OCD, without OCD. Life is challenging, and there's lots and lots of obstacles in life. And why can you not take a little bit of time for yourselves to talk all things salad dressing? I think this is an underserved topic, and I'm glad that we are having it now. My mom likes Thousand Island. I could have told you that. She puts it on everything, and Thousand Island is delicious. Nikki loves blue cheese. Nikki, who are... I just can't get into blue cheese. I just can't do it. I can't do it. Thousand Island is Big Mac sauce. Yeah, it is, Mike. And Thousand Island on a hamburger pizza is really freaking good also. With that, I could talk about salad dressing all night, apparently. I've never had this conversation before, but I think getting out of your comfort zone is important. See, Sam, I was going to make the connection that essentially for me, OCD, blue cheese is my OCD. Like that's how much time I want to spend with blue cheese, about as much time as I want to spend with my OCD. Good season's Italian dressing. And who knew there was so much? Fran, let's maybe talk about doing a salad dressing live stream once a month that all we talk about is salad dressings because this is good. I like this. It's a hearty conversation. How's everyone doing tonight? That's my first question to everyone. How are you feeling? What's going on? What's on your mind? Are there any topics important to you? Hey, Robert from Houston. Good to see you. My birthplace, Robert. Robert and I have been trading Wordles on Facebook every day. But how's everyone doing? How's your OCD? How are you dealing with uncertainty, anxiety? COVID is on the way down. Yeah, I was waiting for Eric to join in and say he was from Houston too. I was born in Houston, so lots of love for Houston. Hey, Meryl. Nice to see you. So yeah, please feel free to weigh in. Hey, Raven, please feel free to weigh in and tell me how you're doing. What's new? What's on your mind? What would you like to talk about? If not, I'll happily start the conversation. But I will give you a moment to weigh in and talk about things that are on your mind. Deirdre wrote, I was fine until you reassessed our relationship. Good news. It's been assessed and we're solid. I can deal. Blue cheese is not a deal breaker as long as you respect my non-blue cheese ways. Mary wrote, doing good. I'm here as the mother with a son who has pure OCD. I wish I could get him to come to forums like this. Well, Mary, thank you so much for being here. We always talk about it's okay. I don't know how old your son is. It's okay that he's potentially not ready to come. The best thing you can do is exactly what you're doing, which is educate yourself, which is awesome. And learn as much as you can. And, through support, and maybe you can show him some of these recordings. Perhaps he'll be open to viewing. You also bring up a great term, pure OCD. I want to touch a little bit on this because this can be a misleading term. So pure OCD is essentially intrusive thoughts, taboo, most of the time taboo, violent, sexual, intrusive thoughts. But essentially, pure OCD refers to mental compulsions. Right? We're not doing physical compulsions. We're not doing outward compulsions. We are engaging in compulsions that are mental, so they're not hard to see. For a long time, and in the late '90s and early 2000s, it was believed that there were obsessions without compulsions, and hence the original coin of the term pure O. Later, it was discovered through research that many people were engaging in a variety of compulsions mentally, whether that was reviewing, checking, thinking certain things. Exactly, he has intrusive thoughts and images, avoidance, rumination, rewind, which means going back through, and so forth and so on. But by then, Puro had really caught on with a lot of the community, and people really resonate with that term. And so we by no means want to stigmatize ever Puro as a term, because it's a way the community finds one another. However, I always think it's important to distinguish that Puro is not just pure obsessions; it's obsessions and compulsions. And that's always a very important distinction to make. Hi, Dr. Jenick. Is Mike on tonight? Is Mike merry? Is he in disguise? Anyway, I didn't see Mike's name, but I'd be curious if Mike is on here. Anyway, so essentially that's pure O. But Mary, thanks for that. Yeah, intrusive thoughts and images. I think a great way for me, sexual, violent, intrusive, or just intrusive mental compulsions was summed up in a beautiful way. I was talking with a doctor from Stanford, and then she was saying, the simplest way I can explain mental compulsions, mental obsessions, compulsions is, I have a patient that can't stop thinking of the word John. And so they think of the word Jason to unthink of the word John. And it was so simple in that explanation. It was like John is the obsession, and Jason is the compulsion to undo the thought or the feeling that makes you feel better from thinking John. And it was so simple, but I really like that explanation. So Mary, he spends forever trying to figure out his thoughts, even though he tells me it's not logical. He's been in therapy. He's been on therapy since 17. I can't find a good OCD therapist where we live. Mary, where do you live? And maybe we can try to help you connect with a therapist that does exposure and response prevention. Betsy wrote, what to do when I already did a compulsion or 2 or 3, short breath, heart pounding, and you want to stop knowing I should not have even started. Great question, Betsy. Thank you for that. Great question. So what do? First of all, I think you're representing so many that are here and that are in that same boat. And I see you, Mary. I'm going to get to you in 1 second. Thank you. I think the first thing we have to do is have lots and 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 lots of self-compassion. It is so easy to be like, well, I've already started it. I'm already in it. I've done it 2 or 3 times. What's the point now? I'm already knee deep. Well, the point is you're only knee deep, and I would rather stop at knee deep than be neck deep. So I think that, the more you compulse, the more, that to your point, heart pounding, the anxiety is going, you start to have a lot of guilt over your compulsions, your anxiety spikes, right? So we start to have the opposite effect of originally what the compulsion was designed to do, which is reduce the anxiety. So now you're in this mode of, I just did this compulsion, crap, God, and you're feeling very triggered. And the answer is to have a lot of self-compassion. Be okay that this is not a perfect approach. Therapy is not perfect. It's okay that you engaged in a compulsion or 2 or 3, but do you now have enough space to realize you're engaging and make a decision to stop in that moment, to embrace the uncertainty that comes with the discomfort, to embrace the discomfort, uncomfortable feelings, and pause and take a moment and be like, it's no different, I think, than messing up on a diet. You've been on a diet for 3 weeks, you've lost 5 pounds, and you're out to eat, and you eat a few bites of cake, and what do you do in that moment? Oh my God, I had cake. Do you throw it all away, or do you just recognize that you had a piece of cake and you're going to keep going forward? For me, therapy and treatment has always been multiple steps forward and multiple steps back. But for me, it's as long as it's more steps forward than back consistently, then it's winning. And I'm not saying that's always the case. You may take more steps back than forward. But at the end of the day, if you're taking 4 steps forward and 3 steps back, you're still 1 step ahead. And that's a huge win in this sort of ongoing battle and OCD and exposure response prevention and in treatment. So one, yeah, we want to resist doing compulsions. But if we don't, 2, when do we catch ourselves? And 3, it is never too late to stop. It's never too late to choose to stop. I feel that way about my weight. In my age, like I've started recently working with a nutritionist. I've lost, I guess, 8 or 9 pounds now, and I'm doing it in a really healthy way where I'm learning about food and nutrients as opposed to just like eliminating certain foods and being restrictive and all that stuff. And it's what's cool about it is I'm learning how to be even more self-compassionate with myself, more compassionate with myself. And I'm also learning even more about how to not do it perfectly because there's things to do. And really, I'm just looking for little wins in the moment. And a little win is okay. So same with engaging in compulsions, So Betsy, I love this question. And what to do is, skills, tools, stop. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I tangented. My whole point was, for me, with losing weight, I'm always like, what's the point? Like, oh, I'm already this age, or, I gained it all back anyway, or I gained some of it back anyway, or why should I even try? And I've already done this, that. Like, I have the same conversations about myself and weight and getting healthy. And you hear the old adage, it's never too late to try and blah, blah, but it's true. It's true. I talk to 80 and 90-year-olds that are starting ERP for the first time. And, if you can have 3 years in maintenance, it's worth it. So, don't beat yourself up for having, doing compulsions or engaging in compulsions. What a win it would be to be able to stop yourself and sit with the discomfort and uncertainty, and the next day go, yeah, I did, but this is how I responded. And at the end of the day, you walk away with a win, and that's important. And again, I apologize if I'm not as coherent. Don't reassure me. Tell me I'm like not coherent at all, but it's already been a long week and it's just Tuesday. So I'm not as sharp as I usually am. I've been mostly thrown off by Deirdre's love of blue cheese. So Eric wrote, I don't use that term, but I think I was undiagnosed, misdiagnosed for years because my compulsions tend to be mental and subtle, referring to pure O. I agree. My compulsion is trying to find a better affirmation. Kim, what was that in regards to? Oh, okay. Understood. Gotcha. Mary, I don't know if Fran did already, but Fran will put a link to the resource directory at the IOCDF. While we don't make recommendations of therapists, everyone on there is, at least as we understand it, engages in exposure and response prevention. There's also a great article on how to interview a therapist. The good news is that you're in New York, you're in the States, and almost all therapists are virtual now. So you do not need to find someone that is local to your specific area. You can go to a major city, a major metropolitan city, and seek recommendations there. And it's virtual therapy is just as effective, if not more effective. Research is coming out, but that's sort of the unofficial sort of opinion from professionals right now, because you're meeting patients where they are. You're meeting individuals with OCD where they are in their home, and it can be really effective. So I would do some research and try to find somebody in New York City, or any other major cities in New York, Albany or Buffalo. That's all I got. Mary, I hope that helps. And if you have additional questions, I'll get my email at the end of this. Raven wrote, I'm still new to this, just 2 weeks into the realization I have existential and religious OCD. So grateful for this information. Raven, thank you for being here. And thank you. I know this has probably been an enlightening 2 weeks. Existential and religious OCD can be tricky and confusing and stigmatizing and all of those things. Definitely visit the IOCDF.org website. There's great resources on it. Please feel free to ask questions. If you just want to listen, that is totally okay too. We have a very generous and amazing community here that are always open to advocating and helping and answering questions and so forth and so on. So if you connect with anybody on here, in whatever platform you're on, send a message or something. But hopefully you're taking the information that you've gotten and moving into the next phases of what that may look like in terms of treatment and therapy and an official diagnosis, if you will, and moving into a value-driven life. And we're here for you, Raven, in any way that we possibly can be. So don't hesitate to ask questions. Mike wrote, I know that doubts is one of the dominant feature with OCD. One thing that I struggle with is when I compare my functioning to others with mental illness like schizophrenia, and then I start to question myself. I ask myself things like, what's the big deal? Why are you making such a big deal over your OCD? Do you really have a mental illness at all? Great point, Mike. I think you're not alone. You're definitely not alone in that. And if you listen to a lot of the amazing experts that we have, you just can't compare. We all have our journeys and our struggles and we just can't compare. You should never take away what your fight is, or compare it to something else and go, wow, they have it a lot worse, or am I different, or all of those things. You're not making a big deal. You have a disorder, and that's okay. And it manifests in a different way than schizophrenia or any other mental disorder. But I would try to work really hard to not compare, just like we don't want to compare our problems to other people's problems. We tend to invalidate ourselves, and which can be a dangerous proposition, when in reality, we can always be compassionate and empathetic and sympathetic toward others' issues, but by no means are ours any less important, less real, less disturbing, or less confluption is the word that came to mind. It's not even a word. I don't know why I just thought the word confluption. Definitely not what I'm trying to say, but words are hard to come by tonight, apparently, except confluption, which will be the name of my new book and new jazz album. But the point is, I'm trying to think, it's a D word where it interferes with your life. But anyway, Mike, we really want to work hard, and it's easy to do in life. You don't have to do it with a disease or disorder. It's easy to go on social media and go, oh, that person already has the house and already has the kids and already is where they want to be in their job. And look where I am. And it's like, the whole thing. Disruption is the word I was looking for. Confluption is close. It rhymes, at least. Disruption. Thank you, Katie. Comparing in general is not beneficial. We all do it. We can't help it. I've done it and a million times over. So Mike, I totally hear you. And then you start to question everything. But the reality is, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to be where we are with where we are. And however it's impacted your life is your truth and your reality. And that's just as important, as just as serious, and as anyone else's. And so, you're here, you're part of our community, and you're definitely not alone in that. But the OCD definitely will latch on and make you question all kinds of things, and it doesn't have to be mental disorders. I used to think like, well, that person, lost their limbs or has cancer. What am I complaining about? Like, I'm just, so, and I think you can be very stigmatizing to yourself. I think you have to offer yourself a lot of love and self-compassion in that regard, Mike. But thank you I love these points. These are great. Raven wrote, I keep searching for answers to questions that can't be answered about God. Very much in the religious group and existential OCD wheelhouse. So I totally understand that. Beth wrote, I want to share that every time I don't do a compulsion and sit with the anxiety, I imagine everyone here is rooting for me. Yes, you can do it. You did it. Yay. I know that it is true, even though I'm not doing it on a video while everyone is watching. It's very helpful to me. I love that. Beth has, I want to do a t-shirt line with Beth, starting with, I washed dishes and cried. But I love this. And this is to my point that I was making to Raven. We are here whether we're with you or not. And that is the goal with therapy, to become your own therapist, right? For your therapist to be with you, whether you're there. And that is your goal with advocacy and support, is, whether you're with us or not, we are always with you. I hope you hear some of my words resonate in your head. I want to hear your word. Beth specifically, there's like 3 quotes I have from you that I've written down that I would definitely steal and not give you credit for. I'm totally kidding. I'll give you 10% of anything that comes in. I'm sorry to make you feel compulsion, but that's what this community is. This is the most giving, loving, selfless community I know of. And that's what it's about, is like, we're here to help each other and support each other, but also hold each other accountable. And I love Beth, that you use that as a strength and a motivator. So you can come in here and write a comment like that. You should have so much pride and so much love for yourself for that. I love that. What a beautiful comment. And that's awesome. And I think we can all take place from that. That's advocacy, right? I mean, that's when I want to compulse and I'm nervous to sit with the anxiety, I think about coming on these live streams and talking about, what am I going to say to you? And I'm not saying I'm perfect, and I'm not saying that keeps me from not compulsing every time, but you all hold me significantly accountable for my behaviors and my actions, and you always have. And that's why advocacy is one of the best things you can do for your own OCD, is, without your accountability, maybe I give in a lot more. Maybe I do, but I know I have to show up somewhere many times a day answering questions or coming on a live stream. And I don't want to be a false prophet. I don't want to, talk a big game and not walk it, and I will always tell you when I'm not walking it. I'm pretty open about that, but I try to walk my talk as much as possible. And it's because of you all that you give me that strength to do that, because I know you're going to be here and we're going to have this conversation. And to Beth's point, you do that for each other too. And I think that's awesome. So thank you, Beth, for sharing that. Sam wrote, a win's a win, big or small. I totally agree with you. Adam wrote, is there a standard time frame for how long discomfort lasts after an exposure? No. And this is something I struggled with a lot when I was doing treatment and therapy, is because, especially when I was in residential, we would do our self-directed exposures where we kind of do exposures on our own. And then at nighttime, we go in a group and everybody would be kind of giving their SUDs, their subjective units of distress, how anxious they were, ratings. And like, most of the people there would say like, oh yeah, I'm a 1 or a 2 out of the scale of 10, right? 10 being the most anxious. Oh yeah, I'm a 1 or a 2. I was really triggered at first, and now it's come way down. And like, I'd be sitting there shaking both legs going like, oh, I'm still like really anxious. It really just depends on a myriad and a ton of, it really depends on a myriad of things. And the discomfort can curb very quickly, or it can last for quite a long time. And if you're engaged in regular treatment, you may constantly be triggered, which doesn't sound particularly fun, but it is very, very effective. I can only speak from my personal experience. And, one of the things I was concerned about was food poisoning. And so before treatment, I had 72 hours in my head. If I eat whatever I'm afraid of and 72 hours goes by and I didn't get sick, then I'm safe. So when I started doing exposures for it, I would have to eat the fear food every day. So the clock would reset. So I never hit that 72. So for weeks and weeks, I was constantly triggered and experiencing a significant amount of discomfort, among other things I was doing, because I was tackling a bunch of symptoms and subtypes. But in that case, it didn't go down to a comfortable level for a long time. I'm grateful for that, because I think that made me much stronger. But in this case, the habituation took longer. Habituation meaning, again, that anxiety comes down. Now, I'm not saying my anxiety stayed at a 10 the whole time. Your body physically can't stay at a highest level of anxiety where your adrenaline and everything is firing. It has to come down a certain amount. So by no means saying, by being regularly triggered, you're going to be at a 10. But I will say that the discomfort lasted, considerably long times, just depending on what you're doing. So it's different for everyone. But I will say, as long as you're experiencing the discomfort, is more opportunities you have to punch. I hate to say punch OCD in the face. I'm not a violent person. I'm a lover, not a fighter. But it's true. Gives you an opportunity to continue to address it and do what you need to do, for it. So yeah, that's the short of it. So by no means, base it. What I can tell you is the more you do the exposures consistently, the less the discomfort lasts, right? It will start getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And that's obviously the win. So the hardest part of weight loss is maintaining the weight loss. Exactly, Beth, which is why I am doing it through learning nutrition and eating healthy and not diet and restrictive, because I feel like I've tried all the stuff. I've yo-yoed. I actually saw an ab for the first time like 3 mornings ago. I woke up and I looked in the mirror and there was like one ab just to the left. It could have been fat, but I'm pretty sure it was an ab because it wasn't there before. And I showed Katie, and Katie verified that it was an ab. So we're on our way. 8 to go. 8 abs, 7. Yeah, anyway, I'll send pictures. It was terrifying. You're welcome for that visual, by the way. Now everyone's triggered and will probably sit with discomfort for a long period of time. But Beth, right, it's a lifestyle change forever. You get used to it. I was 50 pounds overweight, took it off years ago and kept it off for years and years. And I'm actually underweight now. That's amazing, Beth. Hopefully the underweight thing, but like, that's my goal. That's what I would like to do. Mary wrote, I think my son would be more comfortable doing virtual. And that's what we found, Mary. I personally think it's, I always found going into an office very reassuring and safe. I felt safer in an office, which is great if you're just starting, but to be able to meet individuals where they are. Also, therapists can get a real sense of the space and the room and maybe some things that they aren't willing to say they can see. And so, it's been it's one of the silver linings of COVID is this access to treatment virtually. And so, and especially depending on age, teenagers, late 20s, or early 20s, they're used to phone, they're used to FaceTime, virtual chats, things like that. It's just a lot more accessible. And I think long run, really effective. There's cases I think where you need to be in person or in intensive outpatient or residential, and you can even do some of those virtually. There's a lot of intensive outpatients that are doing virtual as well, especially at the height of different COVID variants. But at the end of the day, yeah, that's been what people have felt so far. So, and real quick, Mary, like, don't be afraid to fight for what you want for your son. Ask for exposure response prevention and make sure they do that. Ask for how long they've been doing it for. Don't be afraid to ask for accreditations, degrees, how long have they been in practice. I saw Fran posted, yes, he did. Thank you, Fran. He posted the resource directory and the great article on how to find the right therapist. Read that, write it down, advocate, and make sure you find the right fit for you. So, but yeah, I agree. Syracuse, Deirdre, my blue cheese friend, another city in New York. That is true. A very cold city in New York. Let's see. Mary wrote, how many here started out with tic disorder or Tourette's? Great question. I'm sure some people have weighed in. We'll keep that going. And it is common, by the way. They're very common co-occurring conditions. Mackenzie wrote, virtual ERP has been extremely helpful for me as you can be in an environment where your OCD is most prominent and do exposures therapy while present in those areas. Exactly. Thank you so much for the support, Mackenzie, on that. I really appreciate it. Ingrid wrote, I am doing ERP after 2 years. The 19th February, I made my shopping myself. First day, I drove 8 minutes until the market. Today, I drive 25 minutes and went to the market alone. I haven't been alone. That's awesome. And that is, talk about a bunch of wins. Ingrid, that's awesome. After 2 years, you made the shopping by yourself first day. So I'm assuming maybe COVID had a lot to do with it. It's all baby steps. And I mean, the fact that you drove to the market. I remember the first time I drove after not driving for years and years when I was really sick pre-COVID. I remember I used to take hours and hours to grocery shop because I couldn't commit to buying anything. Those are huge and a testament to the effectiveness of exposure and response prevention. Thank you, Egrid. You're a bird now. Whew. Please forgive me. Today is a day. It's a good day though. Like I'm in a great mood. I'm just a little confluption in the mentality of the brain area, which didn't make sense either. But Ingrid, that's awesome and a true testament to the effectiveness of ERP. And hopefully, that comment will give a lot of hope to individuals here that maybe are considering ERP or nervous about it. Thank you so much for sharing. Kim Adams wrote, so many online OCD therapists seem so against medication. It helps me, not 100%, but everyone is different. Really? I didn't know that. That's interesting to hear. We don't talk about medication too much because I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist either, by the way. I was an actor, so that's terrifying. But, the research shows that, and to your point, everyone is different. That's why we never talk about, what medications I'm on or one may work for you. It may not work for me. It's a very, very personal experience. But, research has shown that generally for lots of people, a combination of treatment, therapy, and medication is very effective. That doesn't mean that just therapy won't work, and that doesn't mean that just medication won't work. But I think being open to all the tools at your disposal is really, really important, because at the end of the day, they are all tools. They are all being closed off to skills and tools in the tool belt. I think is not helpful to us, where sometimes we need to access as much of the tools as possible. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing stigmatizing about that. You know what? I would say, I always said, if I'm on medication, but, if I were doing well just with therapy, but, my doctor said, there's a medication that you can get on for OCD that might improve your life even 10 or 15% more. I might be open to that, because why not? Why not? Any other disorder, something comes out that potentially alleviates it further, I don't know that I would be against it, right? So we continue to have to look at OCD and really any mental illness is just like any disease and disorder, because that's what it is. It's just of the mind. And Beth Carducci said the very same thing. I feel like I don't need to be here at this point. I feel like people can just ask questions and you guys can answer, and I can sit back and enjoy. Michael wrote, I'm in the UK. I have magical thinking. OCD, I feel that I have a thought when I'm out and there's a lot of traffic. I feel I have to keep checking until I feel everyone is safe. It can take me an hour and a half to walk home, which should only take 20 minutes max. You are not alone, Michael. And welcome from the UK. We have lots of friends in the UK. OCD Action's a great nonprofit in the UK. If you haven't Googled them, as well as obviously the IOCDF here, you are not alone in that. There's a couple subtypes and themes here that you're talking about. There's some moral scrupulosity here. You're feeling an over responsibility for everyone's safety, right? So you keep checking to make sure that everybody's okay. Everyone is safe, so you feel a moral obligation. And I'm sure that I don't want to speak for you, Michael, but I'll assume that there's a fear somewhere in there that if you haven't done that and somebody gets hurt, it's your fault, or could be your fault because you didn't go through this process. And yes, there's some magical thinking there too. That connection between you have the power to make sure that everyone is safe. I think your insight into what you're experiencing is really, really good. And I think that is an excellent first step. But be curious if you're engaged in treatment or looking for therapy. I recently had a lot of interaction with the UK and the process in the UK. And I know accessing treatment and therapy isn't the easiest through the national healthcare system. But lots of good resources and lots of good clinicians, and lots of good clinicians in America that treat UK. So lots of hope, lots of optimism. Thank you so much for sharing, Mike. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you, Fran, for that. I'll add that to my list. Appreciate it. Let's keep plugging along here. Eric wrote, yes, I've had those kinds of doubts before. My mental condition doesn't matter because it isn't visible and serious. He's saying the thought is my mental condition doesn't matter. I thought you really meant this. Doesn't matter because it isn't as visible and serious as some others. It's just misdirection from my OCD brain. Responding to Mike Sizemore's comment about the schizophrenia, and I agree. I think we've all been there, Eric, where we second guess the severity or and all that stuff. And I think we've been that way in life too, right? I think it's human nature. It is human. I don't think, I know it's human nature to be like, well, why do I have room? I remember going to see my therapist just after her mother died unexpectedly. And I went in and I was talking for about 10 or 15 minutes about my problems. Oh, work is this. Oh, this girl I was dating was that. Oh, I stubbed my toe on the end table of my and then I stopped a moment and I felt like a total asshole. I was like, "Oh my god, how can I be complaining about like these tiny little things in my life when my therapist just untimely lost her mother in an untimely way? Like, how selfish am I? What an ass." And I brought this up to her. I'm like, I am so sorry. I am so sorry for like, she's like, Ethan, you're in therapy. You're supposed to be talking about. I said, I know, but like that just pales in comparison to what you're going through. And you know, but to your point, like, it doesn't lessen my experience. In my mind, I think losing your mother is way worse than, a bad date. But it doesn't make my experience and things that I want to process and talk about any less. And that was a good lesson for me. And even though it was uncomfortable, I continued to talk about things that felt way less important than her losing her mother. But that reminded me of that, because I think that is just a natural tendency to make comparisons to other people that may have it worse. Whether that's a mental disorder or marginalized living, whatever it is, right? So I think it's important to give ourselves a lot of room to work our way through this life as a process, because we've never done it before that we know of, or at least that we can remember, and give ourselves a lot of room and compassion to navigate in a way where we're allowed to be selfish, we're allowed to be concerned with ourselves, we're allowed to feel like our problems are the biggest problems. We're allowed to have all these thoughts and feelings, right? And at the same time, perspective is important too. And that's what you all give me, and what this community gives me is perspective. And so, we don't want to be black or white. We don't want to be all or nothing. We don't want to be all about our problems. At the same time, we never want to negate or ignore our issues either. We want to make room for them. So great point, Eric. I don't know if y'all can see. Katie pointed this out. I just had it. I had glitter on my face. I don't know where it came from. And what's hilarious about that is it was on my forehead. Glitter is usually a really happy thing, but when she came home and said, "You have glitter on your face," my first thought was, "Oh my God, what did I rub on my face that's dangerous? Is going to kill me?" And then I started thinking about if cleaning supplies have glitter in them, because like, did I like dip my face in Clorox and not remember, or what did I touch my face with that has glitter that is super dangerous and might kill me? So if you're wondering if your thoughts are a little wacky, if you're wondering if that's normal, if you're wondering all those things, yeah, you're fine. It's OCD. Oh, there it was. There. Oh, wrong. It's reversed. There's some glitter. We don't know what that is. I have no clue. It could be destroying me right now, but at least it's pretty. I'm pretty with glitter. I think we can all agree that. Maybe we vote. Hi, Carol. So glad I found this group. You are all amazing. Oh, thank you, Carol. Mary wrote, I love this community. I've learned a lot and keep learning. Mackenzie wrote, it's a beautiful community. Absolutely grateful. You guys are awesome. Hi, Margaret Sisson. Big heart to you too. Margaret Sisson's nonprofit, Riley's Wish. Anybody here or knows anybody here that struggles with OCD and substance use disorder, whether it's alcohol, drugs, any type of addiction. She does really amazing work around OCD and substance use co-occurring conditions, which is it's not talked about enough. It's undertreated. It's not treated in the right way. She's done amazing advocacy. So Fran, if we can post a link to Riley's Wish, if that resonates with anybody here, definitely check out Riley's Wish, because it's a really great nonprofit, and Margaret does a lot of incredible work for individuals with OCD and substance use. Grace wrote, from what I know based on my experience with ERP and OCD, it depends on the exposure and the person and what their given STD level is at the beginning. Great way to sum it up to that question about how long can you normally stay triggered after an ERP. So thank you for that, Grace. Totally agree with you. Mary wrote, I'm a huge advocate for my son, and he has gotten better at advocating for himself. All we need is a better OCD therapist. Oh my God. crazy amounts of hope for you, Mary. Again, I will give out my email, and I'm happy to make some recommendations to you. But the resource directory is awesome. If you want to maybe pick some and run them by me, I'm happy to give a thumbs up or thumbs down. I guess technically I don't represent the IOCDF in that way. We don't pick and choose, but I'm allowed to have opinions. And so, and while I don't guarantee that they'll be a great fit for you, I can at least say they do a great job. And, that's awesome. That makes me so happy. David Dowdy in the house. Hey, David, hope you're well. Hi, Ethan. Great conversation. I recently did a round of neuropsych testing and was diagnosed with a couple new comorbid disorders. Any insights on dealing with multiple diagnoses? Great question, Eric. Okay, so Eric's been around with us for a couple years. If you don't know Eric is, I think, the smartest man alive, as he's won. When we were doing trivia monthly, he won pretty much every trivia that we've ever been, like crazy questions. He's won all the big trivia stuff. And I say possibly because he may have some hack that none of us know about. But if he does have the hack, then he's still technically the smartest because he's doing it. So I don't talk about this too often. I've talked about it publicly. I've talked about it in some podcasts. In 2019, I was diagnosed with bipolar, and mostly bipolar 2, mostly hypomanic, not so much the extreme depression. And prior to that, my therapist and everybody around me thought I just kind of ran hot, right? And then I had this really, really intense, long hypomanic event and then came crashing down, and it was really awful. It was really awful. And at that point, Eric, I had no it did two things. One is I learned that I had very little self-compassion for myself, and that's where I really started my deep dive into learning self-compassion. Number two, I was very stigmatizing to myself, but it was like, oh, great. OCD is under control now, and now we've got this new thing. And so I think I went through a lot of emotions. I've always said this, Eric, that, I think that labels are important for a diagnosis and treatment, but beyond that, I don't care. I really don't. And, and I think that we have to have lots of compassion. Our goals are all the same. So, with comorbid disorders, Eric, we're all here to live a value-driven, meaningful, functioning, full life. That is what we're all here to do. So, with these new diagnoses, has that changed for you? Because it didn't change for me. When I was diagnosed with bipolar, didn't change what I wanted out of life, didn't change how I wanted to approach life. It just changed how I approach life. Added some new tools to the tool belt, added some new skills, started to live my life differently. And at the end of the day, as I found consistently and say time and time again, the silver linings from these things are amazing. I firmly believe that what I learned from that period of time has brought me the life that I have now. And I firmly believe that in moments of crises or in uncomfortable situations or bad news or whatever you want to call it, there's going to be a silver lining at some point. I may not be able to see it then, but I will see it at some point. And so there's always hope in those moments. So self-compassion, number one. Number two, does not define you, just like OCD. Number three, the goal, what you're trying to do, the life that you want to live hasn't changed. At least I don't think so. I don't want to speak for you, but I'm pretty certain it hasn't changed. So, what are the things that you need to do? How can you help yourself? What kind of treatment or therapy do you need to maybe there's some even gratitude there. I mean, I know for me, when I was diagnosed bipolar and was put on medication for that, it was like a whole new world. I had space in my brain from my emotions and my actions that I had never had before. And I was like, holy crap, this is crazy. And I meant in a good way. Like I just, and it was such a blessing to have found that. But it doesn't mean that I didn't spend, 4 months depressed, sad. I remember sitting on the floor crying when I took that medication for the first time, because I was just like, another medication. Like, is this really what it takes for me to function, to run? Like, how broken am I? Right? That was the language that was going through my head. Obviously not helpful. And while I'm still not the best at self-compassion, If you've been on these streams, you've heard me talk a lot about it. It is, for me, like learning Japanese backwards, but I will continue to try. And I think I'm better at it. Not always, but I'm better at it. Self-compassion is going to be your best friend, Eric, at this point, followed by your identity is not changed by any stretch of the imagination. And in fact, you may have a better shot at a fuller life now because maybe you have new insights. But at the end of the day, your goals haven't changed. So what are the tools to achieve those goals and values? That's my 2 cents on that. But great. Thank you for sharing that. Mike Sizemore wrote hashtag opposite action. I don't remember what that was in regards to, but I'm a huge fan of opposite action. Essentially, opposite action is engaging in a value-driven decision when you don't feel like it. You're triggered. You're uncomfortable. Your obsessions are just so screaming. They're loud. And all you want to do is compulse, right? So you engage in opposite action. The action you want to take is the compulsion to alleviate the anxiety. The action you decide to take is a value-driven action where you might still feel the ick, but you're doing something meaningful anyway. Opposite action. Huge tool in my arsenal that I'm a big fan of doing. Can routines help, or can they become habitual and feed into the OCD, like doing something exactly the same way every time? It's a great question, Lightson. Routine in and of itself is very important to getting better from OCD. We thrive on routine. OCD really likes lack of routine. It likes disorganization. And I think, anybody that has OCD, and they look at the times of day where their OCD starts to spike, generally it's when you're not working, a weekend, a vacation, right? When the routine is disrupted. So routines are really, really important, and building routines are really important in getting better and in the treatment of OCD. What time are you going to get up at the same time every day? You're going to go to work at the same time. You're going to exercise, self-care at the same time. What do routines look like for you? Yes, routines, just like so many things that are good for you, can also become habitual or compulsive. And it really is up to a therapist to help you discern, what that looks like. But, if you're saying I get up at this time and I go to a job every day and around this time I have dinner, and because that's what I know is healthy for me, probably that routine's okay. If you're saying I eat chicken nuggets every day at 6:15 p.m. because, and there's a reason for that, potentially a compulsion or a fear or a concern. If there's rigidity, then that might be something you want to look at. So rigidity is the best friend of OCD. Flexibility is the best friend of us. So, routines are very, very healthy. It can be uncomfortable to change routines, but if you're doing something very specific, like we all eat different foods, that's normal. That's okay. That's healthy. If you're eating the same food over and over again, if you're wearing the same clothes every day, there's definitely red flags that you can look at and go, that's part of my routine, but that may be compulsive due to an obsession. And so again, with the help of a therapist, you can help squeeze that out. But in general, routines are very, very healthy in overcoming OCD and are oftentimes necessary. In all the major programs, residential, intensive outpatient, you kind of look at your day because, at least in residential, your life has most likely been disrupted quite a bit by OCD. And you don't have a schedule. I didn't. I was in bed compulsing every day. So like we went through and we made a calendar and was like, what time are you going to get up? What time are you going to shower? What time are you going to have lunch? Are you going to work? Are you going to volunteer? And building out that structured time is really important. The program itself is very structured and routine. So in general, routines are really helpful. Let's see here. I love so many great comments. This is fantastic. Sorry, I'm just reading, looking for questions. I know we're getting close on time. Let's see here. Virtual has worked for me during COVID. It has been that different from in person, but since my OCD is mostly mental, my ERP doesn't have a physical component. Thank you, Eric. I'm just quickly scanning down to see if I have any more question marks here. Hi, Malcolm Williams, Eric B. I'm in therapy. I love the back and forth. Y'all are so awesome. I'm going to read Jenny's comment. I haven't read it, but I I appreciate you sharing, Jenny. So hopefully it's okay if I read your comment. I'm having OCD diagnosis in 2013 after I lose my apartment in a fire back then. That sounds awful. I'm so sorry. I have therapy for years. I went to divorce because of my OCD. Now I'm living with roommate, try to expose myself to stuff I'm afraid of for so long. And I've discovered he had alcohol problems and I try to help, but it gave me more anxiety every single day. Today I have a panic attack because I don't know what to do, stay and help or look for my own health. Great question. Where are you? And again, I will give up my email at the end. We always want to put on our oxygen mask first, meaning, you're on an airplane, you can't help others unless you help yourself. And that is a really good cardinal rule to live by. I am committed to helping those with OCD. That is my commitment. That is why I was put on this earth. I will never stop doing that. If my mental health or physical health or something other gets to a place where I then let it go, I am unable to do that. And so I have to then take care of myself. And by taking care of myself, I can then help other people. It's still a meaningful, non-selfish act. You've been through some stuff. It makes sense that, your OCD is probably exacerbating and disruptive to your life. But, until you've sort of, again, taken care of yourself, you can't really take responsibility for someone else. And even then they have to get better. Without knowing too much of your backstory or history, though, I would say, and I'm not saying either that taking care of your own health is leaving somebody high and dry either. I'm not saying that, but I do think that it is very important that we put our oxygen masks on first. We take care of our own needs first because we can't help others until we do that. So, Mike Sizemore, Dr. Paul I haven't said Stalkoviscus. I know Dr. David Veal are tremendous specialists in the UK. They are, and great calls on that, Mike. Let me quickly scroll down here. Riley's Wish, thank you. Megan wrote, I have ASD. There's some great, for Megan, ASD and OCD, great therapy around ASD and OCD. We've also done some really good town halls around ASD and OCD. Email me and I'll send you, I don't know if we have time to send the links now in the thread, but I will try to get that to you. I think we're going to wrap up. I don't see any immediate questions, but awesome comments. So he said, I forgot to, you know what? I had both my cats were asleep in the cat tree and it was uber cute. And I showed Fran beforehand. I was like, I have to show the gang. And they just left because they hear mommy in the kitchen. Oh, awesome. Fran is the man. ASD and OCD videos. There's a link. It was a great town hall. Learn a lot. So please feel free to watch. Let's go ahead and wrap up. First of all, this was an awesome conversation. To be candid with you, I didn't know really what we were going to talk about today, and I felt kind of flustered and a bit overwhelmed from the day. But this is opposite action for me. I want to be here with you all, and maybe I don't come off as the smartest, brightest, or even funniest person, but we're in this together, and I always want to show up and be here for you as you are for me. Your comments and interaction and advocacy was unbelievable tonight and was so meaningful to myself, and I know everybody watching. So thank you for being an advocate. And I always say advocacy starts with sharing your own experiences, even if it's just with one person. A lot of us think, oh, we're too sick to advocate, or we're not in a good place to advocate. You have all advocated. If you left a comment today, you've advocated, you've touched all of us, and thank you for that, because this community would not be here without you. So thank you, really, thank you. I want to thank the IOCDF and of course Fran behind the scenes. Some quick updates. This live stream is one of many. You can view the entire live stream schedule and submit topics and questions for future live streams at iocdf.org/peace of mind. Ba-ding. I'm so confluptioned. You can also watch live. You can watch live or view the recordings on IOCDF's YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn pages at iocdf.org/live. Cool. We have a website now with the live streams. That's cool. Tomorrow, if you have questions and you didn't get them answered, love Lana, what's up, girl? If you didn't get them answered, tomorrow, Lunch and Learn, 12 p.m. Eastern, with Dr. Liz and Chris Johnston. We have no clue who Chris Johnston is, but he's going to be there. Chris Johnston, special guest, Dr. Jonathan Grayson, the legend. He is an unbelievable therapist, author of Freedom from OCD. If you've got questions, Chris and Liz and Dr. Grayson are your people to answer them. Tomorrow's topic is when ERP goes wrong, including common mistakes made during the ERP process. You can submit questions ahead of time at iocdf.org/peace of mind. We just posted that. But hey, Michelle, good to see you. Yep, right there. But if you've got questions, if we didn't get to them, tomorrow should be awesome with Dr. Grayson. Anything with Dr. Grayson is fantastic. And Liz and Chris as well. Remember, if you'd like to subscribe and get notified when live streams are scheduled, we will put this up. Be sure to like us, subscribe wherever you're viewing. You will get notified every time. If we didn't get to your question or you have a suggestion for a future topic, visit the website that we've put up now 12 times. And if you need resources, never hesitate to visit the IOCDF.org. We put that, yep, absolutely. And you can always email them as well at info@iocdf.org. Anything that you need. Finally, as I always do at the end, I always give out my email, questions, comments, topics. If you agree with what I said, disagree with what I said, you can email me at justethan@iocdf.org. That email goes straight to me. No one else sees it. And I'm a little behind on my emails there, but I will get back to you. So I apologize if you've waited a week or two, but I will get back to you, I promise. Email me there. If I asked you to email me, definitely email me there. If I didn't ask you to email me, definitely email me there. So thank you so much for spending your Tuesday evening with us. I hope you're doing well. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay vigilant, feel the feels. Don't let OCD off the hook. 2 weeks from tonight, another community conversation. Can't wait to see you. Have a good night.